traded to the Lakers. He'll get traded to a team who feels like he might be the missing piece to make a serious championship run. And they'll mortgage something for him for a year to get that ring.
Yeah, definitely. All right, man. Well, as always great having Tyjun Mack on the show. I appreciate him so much for coming on. Make sure
thank you for having me.
Definitely.
Thank you for having me. Enjoy it all the time. Let's do it again. You know, I'm ready for it. And I'll be listening for your commentary on the draft. It was a great draft, I think. A lot of great players. So I'll be listening forward to that session later on today.
All right, cool. Take care.
You too. Bye.
All right. Man, Tyjun Mack, he's always on the show. Always love having him on. Next up, we're going to be having an interview with a singer-songwriter, VH1 Save the Music finalist, McGuigan. He'll be calling in here in just a moment. We're going to have a quick commercial, and right after that, we will get into that interview. Are you looking for an honest car guy? Somebody that's going to shoot it straight, give you the honest answers, and give you the best deal on the car of your dreams? Check out Shawn Nataneti, Internet Sales Manager at Jerry Durant Toyota, Texas. Call or text him at 817-231-3696 or visit his website at GoShawnAuto.com. He'll give you a great deal on the car of your dreams. Even if you're not in Texas, he can still give you a deal on a car. Check him out right now. And we are back in the BS3 Sports Show. We got our guest interview on the line, VH1 Save the Music finalist McGuigan. How's it going?
Pretty good. How are you?
Doing good. Hopefully I got the last name right.
Yeah, McGuigan.
McGuigan.
Pretty close. Yeah. Most people get that wrong. Yeah.
So, singer, songwriter, alternative rock artist. Appreciate you for coming on the show. Great to have you on. So, what got you? Definitely. What got you started in music?
Well, basically, when I was 13, I got my first drum set, and I was in a band with a couple of guys from school, and just kind of did some cover songs and played a few gigs, and it was a lot of fun, and just kind of stuck with it ever since. But then picked up guitar at about 19, and started taking lessons, and then about 22. I started writing songs. I just haven't looked back since. And music's always been a huge part of my life. Anything I've gone through, it's always been a blessing to have, to be able to relate to it and then try and give back what music's done for me to other people as well.
Definitely. And music is really a medicine. When you think about it, sometimes music will help you when you're down. It'll build you up when you're sad. There's so many aspects. And that's why I love music so much. All types of music, no matter what it is. I enjoy listening to music.
Totally.
Definitely. At 16, you were diagnosed with OCD and depression. And I wanted to ask, how did that influence your music?
It influenced it greatly because, when I was 16 and I got, diagnosed and everything, I knew something was wrong. I wasn't myself. I was just in a lot of pain and a lot of, sadness and anxiety as well. And music was able to speak to me in a way that no doctor could. And it's not a knock on any of the doctors. They were great and everything, but it was one of those things where I didn't understand what I was going through, but it seemed as though the music did, in a way. And so when I would listen to it, it just, like you said, it's a medicine. It's a gift. It's just something that really, I think, can hit anybody at their core. So I like all types of music as well, because if it speaks to someone, then it must be good. But it really played a huge part in my being diagnosed, as well as in my recovery and everything afterwards. And it will always be a huge part of my life. So, yeah.
Definitely. And, you know, and a lot of people go with that. A lot of people go through OCD and depression, and music is a healing. So I know a lot of people going through this. I've went through depression different times in my life, and sometimes it's frowned upon. Sometimes it's not really. People say, well, you can just get over it. And I know you're an advocate of mental health awareness and of depression. So what do you do as you're an advocate for this, and how would you kind of express to the listeners what are some things that they can do?
Well, basically, you know, as an advocate, I, work and volunteer at the Mental Health Association here in Kansas. And anytime I get a chance to talk about, raising awareness for things like depression and all sorts of mental illness, I'll take that opportunity. And, alluding to the example you said, a lot of people sometimes who don't suffer from depression as we know it, they'll feel sad for maybe a week or two, or they'll, they've been down and whatnot, and they think that's it. And it's not to minimize what they've gone through, but they just don't know the full spectrum of it. And so when you realize that there is a chemical imbalance in the brain, that doctors can show you a person who's manic depressive versus a normal brain on a CAT scan or a MRI, you'll be able to see it there. But unfortunately, when it's still got that stigma attached to it. I think it's gotten better, the last couple decades, but really, what it comes down to is people being willing to understand it, and I think a lot of it comes through their own fear of it, that they don't want to understand it, because they might be afraid of what it could do to them, if they were to come down with it and whatnot. So, and really, I think the best thing we all can do is just kind of be open about it to the extent we're comfortable with, and know that, I honestly do believe, maybe in the next couple of decades to come, that the stigma will go away, and people, you'll see less. I want to say, I don't know if there'll be less mental illness, but there'll be less stress around mental illness. And hopefully that happens.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. And we are interviewing JJ McGuigan, and he is on the show. He's a singer, songwriter, also finalist for the VH1 Save the Music. And everybody, make sure you look up that name. I will put it in the chat room. I'm also sharing it on social media, so you can go check out his music. So what's the key message in your music that you want to get across to the listeners?
Really, a lot of it is like self-reflection, asking, in a lot of the lyrics I ask, a lot of sometimes big questions, or hit on a lot of, deep, whatever you want to call it, concepts. And it's really about knowing that the answers are always inside you. That doesn't mean you can't reach out, and that's what we should do. But that, ultimately we're all here for a reason. We get a choice as far as what that reason is. But I do believe we're all here for a reason, and ultimately I think it's to understand one another. We might not have to agree with everything, peace with ourselves and each other, if we just, understand in a way that is practical, in a way that is, not giving up one's own beliefs, but yet just respecting the other person's and everything. And so, but yeah, I think a lot of it comes from, my pain of of mental illness and the pain that comes along with that, and really trying to reach anybody that might be going through something like that. And, you know, that to me is the ultimate gift I can give to anyone, because that gift was given to me when I was going through, you know, some very difficult times, and it still will be that if I go through more difficult times. I'm sure I will. That's just life. But yeah, I think that's the key message with my music and music in general, to me at least. So
definitely. And I think as long as music just surpasses generations, ages, I mean, there's music that I listen to that is way back, you know, old Isley Brothers, old music like that, and it just transcends ages. And when you come out with music that speaks to people, to me that's amazing. And I commend artists, I commend you, I commend people that do music, because it speaks to the soul of what's going on in someone, and your music definitely does that. I went through a lot of the tracks on Dissociative, which is the latest recent project. And what was kind of the motivation on that project that you recently came out with?
Really, it was just a collection of songs that I wrote that I thought were similar in nature, and put together with Garrett Crow on the music side of things. And really, the title Dissociative is just kind of about, you know, that detachment from self. You know, when life gets to be too much, we sort of have a way of just kind of just being detached from it, because it can be so painful. But yeah, you know, there's always light at the end of the tunnel and everything. And, you know, I wanted to reach people in their pain, but yet also kind of try and give some hope as well, and just kind of, you know, hey, you can get through this and everything. And I thought those 5 songs I wrote were a good collection for that and everything. And so, yeah, that was basically the motivation. And I'm working on a full length album with my buddy Brian Elwick. He's a phenomenal guitarist and writes lyrics as well and whatnot. And we're working on a full length album here coming up. And so, stay tuned. Hopefully that happens sooner rather than later. But anyways, yeah.
Definitely. Well, I'm definitely going to be looking out for it. And you were a VH1, which I said this in introducing JJ. He was a VH1 Save the Music Songwriting Contestant Finalist. What was that like to be a finalist for that? And how did that make you feel, you know, just with your songwriting ability and skills?
As far as how it made me feel, it was great, because it was at a time early on in my career where I was kind of had some self-doubt about, you know, is my stuff really any good? You know, every artist, and anytime you take on an endeavor that's your passion, you're going to have some self-doubt, because you don't want it to, you know, for lack of a better word, you don't want it to not be good. And so, until you put your heart and soul into it. And it was a good experience being a finalist there, because, you know, it kind of solidified what I'd felt in my heart, that I'm on the right path, that I'm doing the right thing and everything. And so, you know, it came at the right time too. And, you know, I was just very happy when it was announced as a finalist on there. Because, you know, that's obviously a big songwriting contest. And, yeah, that's about all I can say. It was just at the right time, and it did a lot for my confidence and everything.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, you know, God really honestly gives you certain things at the time that you need it. And I think that's what's amazing just about, and I'm a believer in Christ. I just think there's certain things that happens that God just kind of pushes you in that direction, like, hey, you're in the right situation, you're doing the right thing, keep doing what you're doing. And that's amazing. I'm very just appreciative, and of just what you're doing, and also congratulations on that. Throughout our show, it is very interactive, so we always have people in the chat room and stuff. So I would say we've got Jelani JB Bodie on